AITA for asking my husband to not come to my prenatal appointment. Prior to my 4th prenatal appointment, my husband and I got into a fight. The fight occurred while I was describing a situation at work and got frustrated and emotional. While explaining myself, my husband was questioning and challenging my interpretation of it. And I felt he was being argumentative, so I said, "You wouldn't understand. You don't have to work with gossips and judgmental people. He works from home and has limited in-person interaction with other people for his job." I started crying out of frustration, and he got angry and said I was blowing up over nothing. He then went silent and didn't speak to me the rest of the day. His conflict management style is the silent treatment, often for days, sometimes for 1-2 weeks at a time. Anticipating this, I told him that if we were not on speaking terms at the time of my prenatal appointment, that I do not feel comfortable with him coming, and that I would get ultrasound images and provide a summary of the appointment for him. I told this to him in words and by text. Well, he showed up to my prenatal appointment and forced himself in. I was too humiliated to make a scene, but quietly said, "WTF are you doing here?" Afterwards he said, "It's our baby, so it's our appointment." And I said, "Actually, I am the patient, and it's my appointment, and you are there as a visitor." I told him I felt violated and betrayed. Truly, I feel bullied by his behavior and would like an apology. I wanted him to be there, and he has come to most of my other appointments, but I didn't feel comfortable with him being there. If he was engaging in the silent treatment and aggression, he maintains that he has every right to be at my doctor's appointments, whether I am okay with it or not. Editing to add a big thank you to everyone who has commented and shared their story of any similar experiences, positive or negative. I didn't expect the volume and polarity of responses this post has received. I'm reading through every comment and taking your thoughts to heart. Thank you. To end the edit, I'm overwhelmed by the number of comments. I thought this post would fly under the radar. To respond to some questions, clarifications, and provide updates. My husband asked to speak with me this evening, and we had a calm and productive talk. This is a quick turnaround time for him. He clarified that he did overreact and blow up over my crying, due to him misunderstanding something I said, and that he did think my being upset about work was valid. I did not anticipate the amount of responses regarding my mention of the silent treatment. I now wish I didn't mention it in this particular post, though appreciate all your advice, especially the heartfelt and enlightening responses from those of you who suffered under a parent or partner, and those of you who use or have used the silent treatment yourselves. There have been a handful of instances of the silent treatment that were 1-3 weeks long. Most other instances were a few days. I knew the silent treatment was wrong. It makes me feel terrible, and I know it can be abusive when used to manipulate or punish. I don't recall him using the silent treatment like that until last year. So this oddly wasn't an issue earlier in our relationship, even though he describes it as a long-term behavior for him that was normal growing up in his family. I spoke tonight about how damaging it was and my fear for his doing it again in front of or to our kid. He agreed it was unacceptable and has to change. I also have some conflict responses of my own that I'd like to work on. My husband does individual therapy and has for some time. I do not currently plan on doing couples therapy again, as I did not find it very productive, rather sometimes counterproductive. We both will continue individual therapy. For those asking, why did I have a baby with this man, I have provided one glimpse into our relationship, and though it is an ugly one, it's just a glimpse. I'm happy, not miserable, the majority of the time. I think my AITA question of the prenatal appointment is debatable, but agree that the silent treatment is awful and unacceptable behavior, even if it's not done maliciously. I'm pregnant now with a very wanted baby, and will have worked very hard on ensuring a loving, safe, and healthy environment is provided, no matter what that requires of myself or my husband.